This is the Dragonbane RPG, and I am beyond excited about this. First disclosure, Free League Publishing did send me a free PDF copy of the core boxed set, but this is in no way, shape, or form paid for, sponsored by, or paid off by Free League Publishing or anybody related to Free League Publishing. That having been said, I love this game. Probably my favorite facet of it, besides the anthropomorphic ducks, is just the dice system, because we've all become so accustomed to roll a d20, add your skill, beat the difficulty class. Well, that's not how Dragonbane does it. Dragonbane, you have a skill score in whatever it is you're doing, and you roll under it. There you go. In Dragonbane, 1s are considered good. 20s are considered bad. A 1 is a dragon, and that's a good thing. That's a critical success. And a natural 20 is called a demon. And on the Dragonbane dice, they actually went so far as to make the dragon and the demon appear as such. Getting into the finer points of the game itself, you have your character. There are, although I ended up generating my own just because I've gone through the D6 table they give you here, just doesn't seem like enough. Another thing, you get willpower points in this game, which is how you use your heroic abilities, you cast your spells, all that good stuff. And every kin gets an advantage. Humans are adaptive, for example. And if we come down here, halflings are hard to catch. Dwarves are unforgiving, which means I guess you get to make a list of everybody who's ever made you mad. Mallards. This is part of the reason I get into the game right here is mallards. I just think mallards are so freaking cool. Elves, as we've come to expect in almost every fantasy game. Wolfkin, who are somewhat reminiscent of the old Palladium fantasy role-playing game, if you remember that. But I'm really stoked. And then you get into professions. Now, this game doesn't have classes like a certain other ampersand game we all know and love does. They have professions here in Dragonbane. So we have the artisan, who makes stuff. We have the bard, who's pretty standard across multiple games. It's the guy that sings, dances, does all the talking for the group, possibly. The fighter, pretty simple once again. Sword, shield, axe, hit stuff, be strong, Jaeger. Hunter, which is kind of like Dragonbane's take on the ranger. You get an animal companion to start with. You get the bow, knife, sword, longsword, I think. Am I right about that? Oh, I was mistaken about that. Wow, I'll have to fix that. Not on my character, though. I actually do follow all the rules when I make characters, believe it or not. You have the knight, who is kind of like the fighter, only more noble, more cavalier, and usually has a purpose, or a cause, or a sponsor, or all the above. Mage! This is one of my other favorite classes in the game. There are 3 kinds of mages, as we'll discover later. There is the animist, the elementalist, and the mentalist. And they all cast different spells. The animist is more of your druid, nature, shaman type caster. Elementalist is more of your fireball throwing, I don't want to say air bending, but air manipulating, water manipulating, that kind of thing. And then mentalists are kind of like a psionicist or like a monk, depending on how you want to look at them. They do a lot of interesting things. Mariner, sail the 7 seas, be like Popeye, all that good stuff. Merchants, adventure, sell stuff that you find, sell stuff. Very cool. Scholar, which is your sage, not quite a mage, but definitely sage, know stuff, have skills, figure things out, do the detective work, look very cool as a mallard. Thief, again, pretty straightforward across multiple role-playing games. It's your steal stuff, stabby, run, hide, rogue. So then, we come down here. Age actually plays a factor in Dragonbane, as to the number of trained skills you get, and some of your attributes change depending on how young or how old you are. The advantage of being old is you get more skills, however your attributes all take a massive hit. Your int will go up though, which is nice. And that brings us to attributes. There are 6 main attributes in Dragonbane. Strength, how strong you are. Constitution, which is like Constitution in a lot of the other games. It's your physical toughness, resilience, whatever you want to call it. Agility, which is your dexterity, eye-hand coordination, speed, body control, all that good stuff. Intelligence, and again, pretty self-explanatory. Willpower, as I discussed earlier, your willpower is how well you are disciplined and how well you focus. And then charisma is like charisma and all those other D20 games. Your movement can go up or down depending on what your kin is and depending on what your agility is. Not all attributes have a bonus attached to them, unlike other games. So your damage bonus is your strength and agility scores, and they apply to different things. You can get an extra D4 or an extra D6 of damage depending on how high you are. The good news is there's no penalties for being under. So, yay. And then there's hit points, which is your constitution score, straight up. And hit points are much like other games. You take damage, you lose all your hit points, you fall down. Willpower points, again, it's kind of like magic points or resilience points in other games, where basically it's your casting pool, it's your heroic skill pool. Skills. I'm going to try to make this one kind of brief. Basically, all of your skill scores give you a base chance, as you can see here. I don't know if you can see it very well. But as you can see here, you have a base chance. And obviously, the higher your attribute is, the better your skill score is going to be for that particular skill. Now, each skill is attached to an attribute. So, for example, swords is attached to strength. Bows is attached to agility, and so on and so forth. Your lore type skills are all connected to the various int. Not a lot of willpower related skills, not a lot of constitution related skills, obviously. And there's only one non-weapon skill that's related to strength, I believe, and that's swimming, if I'm not mistaken. We'll come back to skills here in a minute. Gear, pretty straightforward. Again, like most role-playing games, you get swords. Armor's a little different in Dragonbane. Be forewarned. Armor is damage reduction, not how hard it is to hit you. And we'll talk more about that when we talk about combat. You do have some weaknesses that you can take. In fact, that'll help you get more experience points if you play up to your weakness. There are mementos, which can help your character heal. Let's see if I can find those real quick. Mementos can help your character heal on a long shift rest. Basically, you stare at your memento and you think about your memento and you think about how you got it and why and all that good stuff. All right, encumbrance is pretty standard for every other role-playing game. Appearance, you can roll, you can write it out, however you want to do it. Experience works a little differently in Dragonbane, and I'll get more into that probably in another video. Basically, unlike other games where you get experience points or milestones, at the end of every session, the GM asks certain basic questions. Plus, if you roll a dragon, you get a chance to raise a skill. If you roll a demon, you get a chance to raise a skill. So basically learning through doing, or learning through failing, or learning through really succeeding. If you explored a new location, if you went on a really fought dangerous adversaries and win, if you overcome an obstacle without using force, which is kind of cool, and did you give into your weakness? And like I say, we'll talk more about how skills work and experience works and all that good stuff later, possibly in another video too. I've already explained the dice, boons and banes. There are no bonuses or penalties in this game. There are just boons, which is a second D20 roll, take the highest, or banes, which is roll a D20, take the lowest. Boons are good, banes are bad. Again, pretty simple stuff. You can help each other on a die roll if you can find a way to make a skill apply. However, you get one roll. So with most skills, not every skill, but most skills, the group rolls once if you fail. You can push and roll again, and then you risk taking on a condition depending on the skill involved, or if you already have that condition for that particular attribute, it might be another condition that the GM and you agree on, or that You just kind of randomly roll for. Won't get into opposed rolls. So here's your skills. You got acrobatics, awareness, bartering, beast lore, bluffing, bushcraft, which is your wilderness survival skill, crafting, make stuff, carpentry, blacksmithing, that kind of thing. Evade is probably one of the most important skills in the game when it comes to combat. Healing, also a very handy skill to have. Hunting and fishing, another wilderness thing for you. Languages, pretty standard. Myths and legends is how well or how much you know about what has gone on in the past with various famous people, creatures, magic, that kind of thing. Performance, pretty straightforward. Persuasion, again, be charismatic, talk to people. Writing is an agility skill that I think almost every character should have, but every character can sit on a horse without falling off, so that's good enough. Seamanship, not sure how often that comes up in a lot of campaigns, but then again, I kind of question the inclusion of the mariner in the professions list. That's another story for another day. Sleight of hand, which is all your rogue, sneaky, stealthy type skills, picking pockets, picking locks, that kind of thing. Sneaking, it's your stealth. Spot hidden, finding things like traps, concealed doors, hidden items. A stretch is 10 minutes, so each spot hidden roll takes roughly a stretch. And this is one of the few skills where multiple characters can look at the same time. Swimming, which is agility, my mistake. I, for some reason, said strength earlier. My bad. Honestly, I do know this game really well. Just, I have moments. Weapon skills are all strength and agility based. I find it interesting that knives are agility based, which gives you knives and daggers, and also thrown versions thereof. Staves is a really good skill to have on just about any character with agility. Mages, scholars, really good skill to have. Swords, which encompasses pretty much every sword. One of the things I absolutely love about Dragonbane is skills are pretty broad, and at the same time they're well defined enough that if I pick up a weapon, I know it falls into one of these categories. While monk is not a profession, you can take a fighter with brawling, and that's pretty darn similar, because then you get fists, feet, teeth, and claws if you're a wolfkin, or beak if you're a mallard. Heroic abilities. I'm not going to get into the whole list. Let's just say there's a lot of them. Oh, look, there's Deflect Arrow. A wily looking wolfkin there. I should probably point out the art for this game is amazing. And I want to thank Johan Egerkrans for all of the really fantastic art in this book. Same artist that did a lot of stuff for Vaesen, if you're familiar with Vaesen. Wow. And I should also mention Thomas Hermstam. He's the guy that wrote pretty much all of this. Really great guy. If we're lucky, someday we'll get an interview with him. Actions and movements. I'm just going to float through a lot of this stuff. Oops, and now my PDF reader's acting up. There it goes. Combat, you can do Theater of the Mind, or you can do it with the flat figures they provide you in the box set, or regular D&D miniatures if you have them, or wargaming miniatures, whatever you got. It takes place on a 1-inch by 1-inch grid. However, since we're talking about a Swedish game, we're talking about roughly the same distance just in the metric system. So it's 2 meters by 2 meters as opposed to a 5-foot square. That kind of thing. Let's see. Dragons in combat are pretty awesome. Demons in combat get you a roll on the melee or ranged demon table. Not good. Once again, parry and evade are your best friends in combat. Because unlike other games, if you blow your turn and you get attacked, you don't get to respond. You just take it. And it's not necessarily a good thing, because unfortunately a lot of characters don't have huge amounts of hit points. You can only have up to 18 without heroic abilities, and a lot of weapons and monsters are throwing down 2d8, 2d10 damage at a time. It can make for some really short-lived characters. However, you do get a lot of chances to get back up. There are death rolls, which basically you roll a d20 under your constitution. You want 3 successes before 3 failures. There you go. And if you succeed on a death roll, you get back up with a d6 hit points. use them wisely if that happens, and then you're going to need some healing after the battle, obviously. There are animist spells that heal. There's the healing skill. There's also time. Time in and of itself is a good thing for healing. There's your death roll business. Armor, like I said, soaks damage. So if you play your cards right, you could be soaking upwards of 8 points of damage every hit. Not all hits are covered by armor, though. Also, severe injuries. This table is not your friend. I'm here to tell you. Amnesia, changed personality are particularly grim, and then you get in all the various bodily injuries that can happen to you, from teeth knocked out, broken nose, all the way up to an eye gouge, which, ouch. Conditions: exhausted, sickly, dazed, angry, scared, disheartened. Basically one for each attribute, right? If you have a condition already and you get the same condition again, you get a new condition up until 6 conditions. If you get 6 conditions, you start losing willpower. If you're out of willpower and you all have 6 conditions, it goes into hit points, and that's just not good. It's bad. Go take a shift rest minimum on that. Then there's all your other standard hazards that you find adventuring. There's a fear table that's particularly, fearsome. You've got diseases, falling, drowning, all that good stuff. Hunger, cold, sleep deprivation. Okay, and that's where we're going to leave it for today. I noticed this video is getting a little long, so that's where we're going to cut it for now. If you like what we got going on here, please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for part 2. Thanks.